Okay, folks, welcome back. See what we can get done. It is kind of late, almost 9 o'clock. Well, we were busy doing some other stuff, so shit happens. And sometimes that shit happens to you. Let's get the other brush here. We've got the two vehicles that we sealed. The Stug and the Jagdpanzer 4. And let's go ahead and get the other thing that we dry brush on top of. There's no point in continuing to ruin new ones when we have a perfectly violated one here with the dry brushing stuff on it. And hopefully we'll get some activity so that we don't fall asleep or go on to something else, more than likely. All right, we've got to put the mid shade on these three. I don't actually remember which one this one goes to. This might have been the one that goes for the Martyr. The Martyr 3. Actually, I think that's exactly what it is. Going on the Czech 38 hull. Martyr 3. Oh. Yeah, I gotta get up early tomorrow, but not to go to work, so. I'm gonna be going out of town, so there will not be a Monday morning painting, a Saturday morning painting session tomorrow. Should be one on Sunday, though. Whew. Yawning and drinking coffee. And I'm probably going to have to check my phone from time to time, like now. We got some stuff to do, some show and tell if we get some people in here. Because I didn't just spray these guys. We went and started working on the next stuff that's coming up. This is the mid shade. And then we'll do the Iraqi sand as the light shade. See, I got home and I clear sprayed these guys so we could move forward with them because I like them already sealed by the time you put them on here. Because you're going to be grabbing them and I don't want to scuff up any paint or anything like that, you know? One viewer, welcome. Yeah, I'm not sure what this one goes to, but it's rock hard now. This is going to be a pain to carve. But like I said, I think it's the other martyr. But we got some vehicles coming up that are not so good. And I don't mean the vehicle themselves isn't very good. I'm just saying the casting that we have is second or third tier. But, you know, we won't be buying any of those when it's time to buy them, but I've got these now, so. Okay, that's that. Well, these don't have that. All right, knock those guys out too. That way when we put all these guys down, we'll move through all of them. All right, this is complete. This, we were touching up the sides. Let's see if this has the mid shade or not on it. I'm not sure, so we're just going to go over and do it and do the same thing with the JSU. Better safe than sorry. Had somebody on Facebook that was asking me if I had any tips on using the airbrush yet. I'm like, I'm a total noob. I'm a total noob. I mean, I've got a clue because I've painted for, well, almost 40 years. But the airbrushing, I'm a total noob. But the thing with airbrushing, it seems like, at least what I'm learning, I took another step forward today. I did discover something, and I'll bring that up when we got some more people on here, if they show up. But the airbrushing, %75 of it is getting the paint to flow properly. And that really is the catch on it. And obviously if you're using an airbrush that's a piece of crap, that doesn't help either, but it's getting the paint to flow properly. And with the first airbrush that I had, I couldn't get the paint to flow properly because it was a siphon feed airbrush. And not only did you have to have the paint the right thickness, but you had to have enough suction to suck it up. It just didn't work. Even though I did paint a bunch of mats with that system, but that's just nightmarish, having to deal with that. But I figure I'm probably going to improve every single time I do it. I already improved the first time I did it, which was this vehicle. I did the stripes very, very wide. I didn't want them that wide, but that's what I ended up getting. And then I improved when I did this guy. It got smaller. I was able to adjust it smaller. And then I improved when I did these two. So, and I think the next iteration I will do, it'll be an improvement again. So, just practice, 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 practice. You got to find the right air pressure, the right paint for the air pressure, and watched a video that said, hey, use some flow aid. What do I do, not connect my computer again? Nope, it's connected, good. Use some airbrush flow improver. And I added a little bit on the other stuff that I did here. I did some base coating on it, and it worked better. And then at the end, I went ahead and did a test with some red brown. I didn't spray it on any vehicles, but I sprayed it on the cardboard that I have out there, and was able to dial down the pressure down to about 20, and I was able to spray something really small. So that's what we're going to work on, is try to get that down. I know it's just a trick, and it's just a matter of experimentation, and people with a lot less painting experience do pretty good job. So I suspect that I'll start improving significantly. The other nice thing about having a low pressure is the compressor's not running all the time. So we'll get it. As long as we keep improving from one day to the next, making forward progress, it'll be fine. I set the bar pretty low. It was just basically we're going to use this for priming vehicles, and we're going to use them for sealing vehicles. And it is a blessing to go out there and spray and not have rattle can. The rattle can stink. Okay, that one is complete. The rattle can stank. So that alone has been an improvement. I know my wife appreciates that. Not having to step in the garage, it smells like a paint factory. In a bad way. There we go. Okay, we're going to have to add grass to these guys and bushes. That's fine. And we have to epoxy these guys as well. So, and we've got to add some Agrax Earthshade also to the vehicles that I primed. And the vehicles I primed are the next batch you guys are going to see painted. That is another Panzer 3L. turret? Ah, shit. I left the turret out there. Figures. A Panzer 3L. I gotta go get it. I'll be right back. Okay, here's the turret. And this is one of those die cast things that, unfortunately, you're die casting correctly in that the inside of the hatch is actually on the outside. Whatever. I've moved on, you know. That's just the base color. I did it brighter on the turret. I'm just experimenting with it. You know, it's going to get covered in Nuln Oil, so... Not Nuln Oil, Agrax Earthshade, so... Got a Panzer 3L. That's going to be in 3-color camouflage for Kursk. Then we have a model I've had a long time, which is a Britannia Panther with Zimmerit. I've had this a long time. And the other one is, I think this is a Matchbox. I think it's a Matchbox Panther. Both of these are G's. And the barrel broke on it while I was out there because I tried to turn it and because it's stuck at a weird angle. It's stuck where the muzzle brake is not out to the sides. It's like almost like at a 3/4 angle. So I'm going to have to glue this thing back, and I'm going to cut this barrel here, and then I'll rotate it independently and glue it back on. So that's what I'll plan on doing, but this track is, it may even be, it's broken, okay. Well, we'll make the most of it. See, a lot of these things, it's a good thing that we're putting them on bases because they're kind of flimsy. But this thing's older than dirt. I mean, this model's been around a long time. So we've got a couple Panthers coming. Now that we're happy with what we did with the Dunkelgelb, the coloration and so forth. And now the problem I had is, because I was spraying this without my glasses on, without my seeing up close glasses, I did not notice. I'm telling you, I make so many freaking errors that I'm getting really good at fixing them. I didn't notice this thing was covered in dust from, I don't know, years back. So it almost looks like it's got, you can't even tell it on there, but it is. I've got to get that stuff off because it's just got like all these little hairs and stuff on there. And so I'm going to scrub this with like a toothbrush or something. And if not, we're going to take some hand sanitizer and get that off. But it's not everywhere. It's just on the vertical surfaces. So, like, it's not on any of the running gear. So, but anyhow, that's the ones that we're going to work on next. This is resin and the tracks are white metal. So, I'm going to put a commander figure in it. And it's got some Zimmerit on it, and it's a Zimmerit that's been chipped off. I mean, that's how the model comes. So, anyhow, should be kind of cool. I know Panthers are real popular. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and epoxy these vehicles where they go. This one, is anybody on? 2 people. Okay. 2 lurkers. Yeah, I just gotta wake up or I'm gonna end up going to bed. Okay, this needs to be. Boy, I must have been falling asleep when I was doing this one, and I may have been. We need to clean this thing up. So the center's like there and there. So this one's probably going to end up getting regooped. Some parts of it next to it. Let's get rid of this thing. It's got live paint on it. Beware, live paint. This is starting to get to the point where it's solidifying a lot, and it makes it harder to, a little bit more, to scrape this stuff off. Okay, we're good there. Oh, I see. Because this thing has a part on the bottom, it's interfering. Well, I can take that off. Where's my snips? Let's see how we're looking. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, it was running into that. We didn't even know it because it was in the middle. Marcus, welcome. Sorry being quiet. I was cleaning my brush so it couldn't type. Yeah, I just need to not fall asleep. So I made some forward progress today. I sealed these two vehicles, but that wasn't really what it was. I experimented with. I'd watched a video recently about trying to get the spray pattern better, and they said to use flow improver, airbrush flow improver, and I did do a test on the red. I used just red brown, and I have some of this stuff that I'm using as a backdrop in my garage so that I can test it and spray, and I'm just spraying on this anyways. And I got pretty fine detail, but we got some Panthers that are coming up next, another Panzer III L, and then another Britannia Panther. So you watched last night's video. Yeah, was I falling asleep? I think I was. One of the nights I was falling asleep when I was trying to work on this. I can't remember if it was last night or the one before. But last night I was up at 4. I was up at 4 a.m. Not this morning, but yesterday morning. So, no wonder I was falling asleep. But I'm making forward progress with the airbrush. I mean, every time I'm using it, I'm getting a little bit better. I don't plan on using it to take place of my standard brushing. But we started with this fat pattern, which I wasn't happy about it being this fat. And then we were able to get this one. So that was an improvement. And then we were able to get these. So that's an improvement. So we're going to do some thinner ones. Probably with the Panzer III. That's probably what we're going to do. Is we're probably going to do some squiggles with the Panzer III. And just, learning every time. Every time I do it, I try to get better at it. So it becomes second nature. What that airbrush flow improver is seemed to be doing the trick. You know, and the problem was is that I was getting paint that was drying on the end of it, and it was clogging everything up. So you need to just keep it from, you know, the same thing. I use the flow improver when I'm doing some fine detail to keep the tip from drying, the paintbrush from drying. Okay, that one's good. All right, we're gonna have to add some extra goop on there. Whatever, no big deal. Are these both the same? I think they are. And yeah, I've got vehicles that are missing pieces. Like when I bought this diecast from the guy, it's missing half of a road wheel here, and it's missing half of a road wheel here. Not worried about it. We're gonna put a bush in front of that one. What? Well, is this what I'm gonna be in my 50s? Just a fuckhead that drops things all the time? Well, I'm gonna be really intolerant with myself if that's how it's gonna be. Oh shit. But you know, I can't go and buy a retro kit or whatever. You just move forward with it. It's just a wargaming model. I just finished your Pegasus Soviet Naval Infantry this morning. I'll stage them in a photograph and post it. Okay. You're making your own set of rules, right? Yeah, at some point I don't have to do that. I don't have to mess with the rules. I'm enjoying just building these things, even if I never play with them. It's pretty close to the end. But there'll be no morning painting session tomorrow. I've got to go take my daughter to the college she's going to be going to for intro day. I would normally be going with a wife as well, but she's out of town. She's at a baptism that she's a godmother at in Miami, so she will not be joining us. But it's just for the day. I don't know if we're going to hit Busch Gardens too while we're down there, but probably just see how it goes. But Sunday, we should be on Sunday. Yes, you like the sound of mine. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. I mainly just got the airbrush just to do the ceiling stuff. Just to get rid of the rattle cans. The toxic fumes of the rattle cans and the messiness of them. They're just not any good. Because I'd always bought rattle cans that were from Model Master, and the Model Master stuff was pretty high quality and never had a problem with it. But once they discontinued the Model Master stuff, I have to resort to stuff like, you know, the Krylon stuff, and it's just garbage. It's just pure garbage. Face of battle, okay. Well, I'm not messing with it until the girls are gone for a week for sure. Maybe by that time we'll have more things done. And I could just do a vehicle on vehicle type thing just to get the vehicle. I've played the infantry rules before, and they work just fine. Yeah, it's... I'm enjoying doing this stuff more than actually playing the games. Okay, she should be good there. I actually really like the way the silhouette of this vehicle looks. Looks pretty badass. And then Stoogie. I'm figure out how I'm going to do a bush there, I'm sure. Come up with something. So we're going to glue these guys down. And while they're drying the gluing, we're going to go ahead and Agrax Earthshade those other three vehicles. And that way, when I get back on Sunday, I can dry brush them and do camo on them. And I hope I get the little squiggles down right, because that's really common in a lot of the German half tracks. You know, the 251Ds, which I've got, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I don't know. You know why I have that many? Because they were there. You know, back when there were stores, you bought stuff just because they had it there in stock at a store, not necessarily what you needed. Now it's like, oh, no store has anything. I'll order exactly what I need for the project. You know. What I don't understand about the Face of Battle is you can get a couple of the modules, but you can't get the core rules. Unless somebody's selling on eBay. Nordic. It's going pretty good, other than I was falling asleep. You know, I don't have a headache. I made some progress in airbrushing. Some forward progress. Felt really good about that. I won't be on tomorrow morning, but I will be on Sunday morning. And I may be able to... We got some Panthers coming. I'll show you what I got started here shortly, because I got to Agrax it. And now we went from a town that had no Vallejo paints in it to limited supply of Games Workshop. But people have it online. I need to get Agrax Earthshade. I could order it online. It's expensive, you know. And I thought about making my own, or maybe do the Army Painter Strong Base, I think is what it's called. That's equivalent, but I'm just gonna stick with it. I need to sub that out. I don't need to start creating my own stuff, because that's just a slippery slope that next thing you know, I'm spending a lot of time doing stuff I don't need to be doing. Okay, and that one's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and epoxy all those jokers. Well, just the 3. Didn't end up playing Triumph today. Had a bad flare-up with my severe IBS, so I had to bow out. Well, maybe you'll play it again. Any particular reason that group there decided to use Triumph? It's got some cool things to it, but it doesn't. I don't think it's better than DBA 3.0. And it has the same problems that I don't like about DVA 3.0. So, not really the problem, but the situations that can't be solved and always keep coming up. Yeah, we need to do a fair amount of this stuff. Maybe more than that. There we go. You don't know, to be honest. Well, I noticed today that as soon as I got into the picture of DVA, now other people stepped up and now they got more games going on than I ever did. Well, I hope it goes well for it, but I'm not holding my breath. I just got really tired of putting all the effort that I did into promoting that. And hounding people, hey, get your games in. We're going to do this in this session and this in that session and this in the other one. And then we're going to put it on all the Facebook group. And then I'm going to put it on Fanaticus and I'm going to advertise it. And, I got tired of people saying they were coming and they didn't. And the next thing you know, you always get 8 people at the most. And do all the awards and everything. And then go to Historicon. Nobody wanted to play it there. I'm like, I'm just done. And meanwhile, I'm like holding back doing stuff like this. Because I can't do 2 things. I can't do this and 15 millimeter ancients. There's just not, I don't have enough, maybe if I was single, but, these things take time. So now they got all these learning sessions and people that hadn't been involved in 15 years in Florida are now stepping up. Well, we'll see how it goes. Good for them if it goes. I'm not going back to it. I used to I don't want the rules to die, so these figures that I painted, the time on them wasn't wasted. Now I'm like, I don't give a shit if I play with them again. I don't, especially the way work has been, it's starting to get they've made some changes and it's starting to be a real pain in the ass. I've just got no time for nonsense and on my hobby. And it just started turning into work. I can't be in everything. And I don't have time to create everything. My guess is the rules were set up to read better. Maybe they didn't like your group. Only reason I can think of them just come out of the woodwork all of a sudden. No, it's the people of my group. It's the people of my group that never did anything, many of them. Well, whatever. I'm not worried about it. I'm not antisocial, but I plan on playing this by myself because I don't think anybody's going to like the amount of detail that these rules have, and I don't really care. Hey, if I play by myself, guess what happens? Nobody breaks my shit. Oh, darn. There's a lot of people at the show that I've basically neglected for like 15 years because I've done DBA anyways. So, it'd be a good opportunity to connect with some folks that I haven't really been able to hang out with. So I'm not worried about it. And I'm not dreading the convention showing up to where I have to do a bunch of stuff for it. I'm like, I'm just going to show, I'm literally not bringing anything. No dice, just freaking clothes, and that's it. And I'm sure I'll have a great time. Okay, this halfy tracky is done. Those two were done? Well, we had plenty of extra. Okay, well. Shit happens. Yeah. Ah, son of... Oh, I never glued it. Okay. I never glued it. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to this. Take the contacts out, and I basically can see my field of vision is like freaking 8 inches in front of my nose. That's about it. Okay. Are we good now? Yes, okay. You've only played one convention game with 54 millimeter nights. Well, it's not a popular scale. There was actually a good group at the convention every year in Orlando. There was this company called, I don't know what it was because I don't, but they made 54 millimeter American War of Independence stuff. And I think the game was kind of basic. I've never played it. I don't think it was a super complicated game, but I think the guy that made them would put the games on. I don't remember what it was called, but something happened and he just stopped showing up. I don't know whether he had a personal issues or something came up, but he would always come in and they would play, with these big, huge soldiers, and people would like bring their armies and they would have like this big game with like 8 or 9 or 10 people on each side, and I guess it looked okay. All the King's Men? Is it All the King's Men, the name of the company? I think it might have been. I just refuse to put a lot of effort into playing a game and then the game not have a lot of detail. Why play a game that this vehicle and this vehicle are basically the same in the game? Well, why even paint different vehicles? Anything above 20s, play with dollies. That's right. I wish I remember who had said that. Oh, that people lost their fucking mind. They lost their mind after he said that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to salvage this easily. Let me go get some water. Oh, do we still have some water here? Or did it evaporate? Yeah, it evaporated. Let me go get some water. The other thing they lost their mind about, there was a guy who was obviously trolling everyone. And he said something along the lines of, he put a post, this is on the miniatures page, I don't know, 20 years ago probably. He's like, hey, I want to paint some Japanese figures, but I want them to look, I kind of want to do them in the style of The Simpsons. So what color yellow should I use for their flesh? And people came unglued. And that was 20 years ago, so it's probably worse now. People need to laugh about shit, People came unglued. Not everybody. Some people laughed about it, which is what I would have done. Obviously, the guy was joking. Your friend Paul plays All the King's Men. I missed what you said. Who lost their mind over what? Oh, when somebody had said that anything larger than 20 millimeter was playing with dollies, and the one guy wanted to, and some guy. This is on a miniatures page post, and some guy wanted to know what color yellow to use for his Japanese flesh, because he wanted to paint him in the style of The Simpsons. He did say that. It wasn't like he didn't want to paint them in a cartoonish fashion. You know, in the style of The Simpsons, everybody's yellow. Okay, this is coming off. That'll work. Yeah, okay, it's coming off pretty easy. Ah, I didn't realize it was dusty. You know, I'm trying to do it in 20/20 vision and I can't see that. No big deal. Adversity makes us stronger. You gotta power through it and not go like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Oh, what am I gonna do? Well, you're gonna freaking, it's gonna whoop your ass or you're gonna defeat it. So, lock and load and defeat it. Yeah, all the King's Men. Yeah, they used to come every time to our conventions. And all of a sudden the guy stops, this guy stopped coming. I don't know whether he got miffed with the people at the conventions. I don't know. I never played it. I know a couple of people that I know pretty well that go to the con, always look forward to that event. And the same thing happened with the people that put on this Renaissance rule set called By Fire and Sword. It's like a Russian dude that was doing it. I think he lived in the Jacksonville area, and he just all of a sudden just stopped showing up at the con. He was like a regular, like you knew was going to be there, and all of a sudden he just stopped showing up at the con. And this was before the pandemic, so it's not like he had agoraphobia or something like that, or maybe he does have agoraphobia, but not because of the pandemic. Anyhow, yeah, some people just show up and then just poof disappear. One of my favorite things I used to do, I didn't play it much, was when I played World of Tanks on the computer. On World of Tanks with the computer, you could like chat. You could type chat. Probably can still do it now. But I just play it on the console, where I don't interact with anybody really. But before the game would start, when I played the Russians, I'd start off with, I saw this one time, and I'm like, I always started off with, getting everybody all like wound up. I said, in Soviet Russia, girl penetrates you. And that always got everybody's juices going. This will end up being fine in the end. But I think this was probably sitting in a drawer, open to air for 10 years or something like that. I think a lot of stop going to con scores. Never issues. Money being the chief one, loss of interest in miniatures. Maybe you got tired of the people. I know I get tired of people, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing it as a business and people aren't buying your stuff, I mean, I like seeing a lot of the people at the con, and some people I don't want to see, Sometimes I do. I'm not into kink shaming, but anyone, Soviet blonde woman may have. Oh, man. I hate playing those multiplayer games online with people that you don't know. Because there's like no honor. Like people will just disconnect and shit like that. I'm like, if you're just like going to play with like no honor, then I guess I'll just not interact with those people. You know, this can't be they can't be attached really well because this paint is really thin. I mean, really, really thin with the airbrush. But I did give it 2 coats, which is why it's a little stronger yellow than normal. But we about got it all off here. It's not a big deal. This wasn't a great model, anyways. It's kind of rough hewn in a couple places. All right, the turret's got quite a bit of it on the top. It's cartoonish type MG34 on it. Should be illegal to make a poor model of a Panther tank. Well, maybe the slave labor did it. You know, if you're going to force us to work on your tanks, we're going to make them in a shitty way. This will end up being fine. And if not, I'll just end up taking some of the hand sanitizer to it. I'm not worried about it. Now, is that really there? I'm not sure if it is. Well, that's a natural chipping. I'm literally chipping the paint. Okay, I think we can move forward with this thing. I've had that thing for 30 years? A long time. Maybe not 30. I actually don't mind their vehicles, even though they're cartoonish a little bit. It's their figures I can't stand. Is this thing loose? Probably. All right, let's start off by... I think that's a Matchbox one. Or Airfix. But the guy had glued the barrel instead of straight across with a muzzle brake off at an angle. So I'm going to glue it back after I trim this. I'm going to glue it back, and then I'm going to cut it. After it's glued, I'm going to cut it down here at the front and then rotate just the front part. You like the Panther even though they weren't available in Dunkelgelb. I like well, the barrel's not drilled. Yeah, this thing will end up looking okay. It's kind of has a lack of detail of stuff on there. I may have some tracks to throw on it afterwards, but I wish it wasn't a G. Wish it was an A. I really don't like the Ardennes and stuff. I don't like stuff that late. It's like, okay, now it's, you know, you can't go anywhere. You're just going to get shot to shit. You know. As far as favorite German tanks, I like a Panzer III G. I like how it looks. Dunkelgrau. Yeah, I never call it Dunkelgrau. I guess the Dunkel means dark, huh? Nope. I'm useless without the glasses at any kind of a distance. And here's the Hasegawa one I'm going to refurb. It's not a priority to do that. I'm going to redo it. Oh, Nordic's here. My stomach's acting up again. Blah, 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 blah. Sounds like I'm about to shit my pants, but no such problems tonight. Sorry to disappoint you. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Dunkel is German for dark. Okay. Well, that would make sense. So anyways, now that I have an airbrush, I really like the AK paints. I really do. They airbrush really well. Okay, perfect. So we're going to glue this thing in place. We're going to use some weld cement. Jeez, is it off at an angle too? Yeah, we're going to cut this here. And then we'll attach that afterwards. Do you have to thin them at all through the airbrush? No. No, but you know what worked? And I don't know if you were on here when I talked about making a big step. I watched a video, and what the problem I was having with this guy a little bit, and it wasn't much of a problem because it was a lot better of an improvement than this one. And even this guy with the splatter, I only got like one spot of splatter. But with these, I didn't get any at all. I put some airbrush air flow improver. So it said to use like 1 drop for every 10. And so I dropped, when I put it in the cap, I went 10 and then I put 1 in there, took one of these needles to stir it in there, and it kept a constant stream the whole time. So we'll be using some flow improver. The only one that's brutal to airbrush is the black primer. Because as it dries, it leaves a film inside of the cup. Almost like in Spanish it's called natilla. And that's like if you have cream in your coffee or whatever, and it just kind of leaves the scum on it. Kind of like when you have French onion soup, right? What's left with the cheese, kind of like that. And none of the other, it does that, and no other paint does that. So you have to kind of fight that thing, but I did use a little bit of flow improver in that as well, just to help it not get dry in the nozzle. That was adorable. The 9-year-old twins just came up and gave me a crocheted bracelet they made for me. Oh, I hope it's hot pink. Some of those crochet things are cool. I remember when my daughter was little, they had like a crochet little characters from Star Wars. And as my wife would say, I was a sucker and got it. And then, we ended up giving it to somebody because that's like a skill set none of us have. But they were really cute. They were like Some of the crochet stuff's pretty cute. Okay, that should work fine. It's red, white, and blue, but it would have worn the hot pink one. Red, white, and blue, the Dutch colors. What? This thing has been through hell before I ever got it. It's got a big gouge down here. This is just piss poor. But I bet you money it'll actually look okay when I'm done with it. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't go out and purchase these vehicles. I just happen to have them. Actually, I did get this one for $1. Think this is worth $1? I think so. Well, I'm not even going to attempt to glue that idler wheel. I'm just going to leave it loose like that. Because to do it properly, I would have to take the hull off, run a pin through it, and drill it. I've actually did that on some of my German half-tracks. And that solves the problem. But I've got no way of tearing this apart without destroying this vehicle. And once it's on the stand, it won't make a difference. I actually am of Dutch ancestry, so it's fitting colors. There you go. Careful what you wish for. Okay, we can mess with this later. What we need to do is Agrax Earthshade on this one, which I was mentioning earlier. I got this, and it's missing half of a road wheel here and half of a road wheel here. So I may just take this one off. Yeah, just look at it. Just have it differently. Oh, and then just put it down here. Dun, da, da, da. Oh, it doesn't fit. No, not quite. I can put a bush in front of that one. Wait, does it look the same? No. It's missing a center thing. We'll put a bush there. Spare parts. Trim some of these. Things are on the top. Wow, these are piss poor. This is why I'm putting all this stuff on stands. Epoxy will work better, but all right. Anyone else want to cause trouble? All right, let's put all these usual suspects away. If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much. Little Dutch boy. I think that's the tallest people on Earth. By average, people from the Netherlands are super, super tall. I guess when that place floods, that way they can still come up for air. Get the cement out of here. Get on out of here. Where's the ag racks? That we're about to run out again. And this shit's expensive. And elusive. That's Known oil. Here it is. You got a half a bottle of it. Joe Coton, welcome. Well, I saw all the games that you guys got talked into putting on. We'll see if you guys get a turnout of them. Got more DVA shit as soon as I stepped out of it. Well, we'll see. We'll see if that guy even shows up. I don't care. I want people to show up and play it. I'm not going to, but that's fine. All right. I'm just going to ignore the fact that this one doesn't have the paint on it. We'll end up repainting over it. You're only about 5'11", so I don't consider that tall. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And shrinking. But I turned out about 8 inches taller than my dad, so I did okay. Everybody in my family is short. Except a great uncle or something like that was tall. My daughter's short, or she says it all the time, but she's a girl. They can be short. No problem. Males in your family that are taller than me are my uncle and one of my cousins. My dad is less than a half-inch taller than me. So you're the runt. Yeah, if I go somewhere and I feel really short, there's some tall people around because I don't go around ever feeling short. I'm just like, normal sized. So if I go somewhere and say, man, there's a lot of tall people around here. And there's some real tall people. Just remember, Joe, if you're going to play DBA, you might have to keep an eye on some people to play kind of loose. Don't let them get away with it. I certainly don't have the tolerance for that. I'd fucking say something to somebody, and I wouldn't be nice about it either. Okay, Marcus, thanks for coming by. We'll see you on Sunday. Sunday morning. We should have these vehicles to do on Sunday morning. Well, see, after these guys are dry, We got to dry brush the main color on it again. And then after that's dry, which that one doesn't take long. This is the drying phase, it takes forever. We're going to do camouflage. And then after camouflage, I can bring them here because we're not going to video me airbrushing. I make way too many. It takes too long. It's too noisy. I think the compressor is really noisy, but my wife doesn't seem to mind it, which I guess it means it isn't because she has Nordic hearing. I'm not going to try to patch that thing up. I'm just going to leave it as is and see what happens. Adios. Not 90, adios. I hate that these guys went up on the price of their Agrax and it's a third smaller. That's a dirtbag move. Dirtbag. Roundy 99, welcome. Working on multiple stages of things. I wish I could just do one thing, but there's drying time involved and things. Oh, this is missing like the muffler and stuff off one. Well, F it. It's not going to have any on one side. Battle damage. The person who I got this from must have just been really careless with it. It's going to look a lot better than what it was. Well, I was hoping Hoffman would be on here. Or Kevin. So I could tell him that link that Hoffman sent me worked for the video, for the movie. I watched like 30 minutes of it. I may watch some other of it tonight. It actually worked really well. Other than it not having subtitles, I just put my headphones on. I can hear it just fine. And the quality on it's pretty good, so that was cool. It actually looks a lot less dated than I thought it was going to. Okay, we're going to just ignore the barrel completely for the time being. Let's not do that. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, let that dry over here. All right, let's see if we got all these little threads and stuff on here. Off. Let me just put it over it. See what we're dealing with. And if I don't like it, I'll just end up putting a hand sanitizer over it, cleaning it off. I think it'll be all right. I just figured I could probably paint this in 20/20 vision, or I had my readers on or something like that, and I just totally missed that this thing was covered in dust. Now the running gear on here is actually pretty rough. It almost looks like it's caked in mud, but it's just a poor quality of casting on there. It actually has with a little. It actually came with a little side shirts in down here. I just tried to glue them on a couple times, and they wouldn't stay on there. So I just said the hell with it. I actually like the way, just like all of the shirts in. I like a Panther without shirts in as well. And they're just tiny little side things, but I prefer them to not be on there. I think the first Tamiya tank I built was a Panther A. You can do all kinds of paint schemes with the Panthers. Ambush. If I was up to doing SS units, which I'm not, I could do SS the fifth Viking Panzer Grenadier Division. Their Panthers had straight lines, almost like splinter camouflage, which doesn't really look good, but it's distinctive to that. And for whatever reason, the Zimrit that the Panthers had is different. It was like squares. You know? Like this one, it's just all squares, not like the ones on a Tiger that, they look a lot nicer. All right, now we gotta let this dry. Now we gotta let this dry, play the drying game. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna go back to these vehicles. Let's take this stuff off our hands so we don't transfer over. Get some Purell. This stuff comes right off. Well, you want to make sure it's off your hands before you handle something that has acrylic paint on it, or you'll screw up your vehicle with acrylic paint. And we're going to add a tiny little bit of goop down here to fill in those gaps, and then let that dry. And that's where we'll pick up when we come back. So let's get the ground texture. Rough gray pumice. I need to find the article where I saw that somebody had used some kind of product. I don't know who the manufacturer was, but it was one particular kind of product that for like branches, like to camouflage a vehicle. When the Yabos come over and try to rape them from the air. And somebody had done it like in a diorama or something like that, or it was for wargaming figures, and it looked really, really good. But it escapes me who the manufacturer is. And it was just one of them in particular. that they had used. It was actually really good. What World War II rules am I building armies for? Everybody's favorite question. It's an old set of rules that, well, I mean, I guess they're old. They came out in 2002, and they're no longer available. The core rules are no longer available. It's called The Face of Battle by a gentleman in Canada. And they're really anal retentive. And what makes them unique is that you're playing an actual scale. So, you've got your figures that are this tall, and they can throw a grenade this far because you're playing an actual scale of the figures. So it's extreme skirmish. And, you got to worry about like tanks ramming into each other. And we're going to do a practice thing, and I think I may try to do that on purpose and see what happens. Because there's rules for... And the rules are they're not really complicated. They're just multifaceted. And they're percentile. They're percentile-based rules. So you got to use 2d10s. So all of those things were things that appealed to me. I didn't like games that had, grenades only went 3 inches away. You've got the figure scale really compressed far that way. And yeah, it's not made for, long range actions or anything. You play on a 4x8 board and the board's only like 130 meters wide. That's pretty tight range. But it's also what makes them different than everything else. And I like them. They were really close to... They came out at the time when I was making my own rules, and they were like... I swear they had like a listening device. There's a lot of things that are done almost exactly the way we were doing them in our rules. Other than keeping track of ammo. They don't really keep track of ammo in small arms. Small arms, they don't keep track of ammo. It just... if you roll really high, you have a mishap or a jam or something like that, and then you have to try to fix it, which can represent trying to find more ammo for it or an actual jam. So they abstracted that a little bit. There's actually a write-up that someone did that was really good about the rules, and I put it on my Facebook page about a month ago. I came across the rules, somebody who had come up with kind of step by step the how the game behaves, and but it's random activation. So you've got a chit free. You've got 2 chits for, assuming you're using troops that are of average quality. You got 2 chips for each guy, and my figures have names on them because the chips have the names of the figures. So you just put all the figures of everybody in there and you pull one at a time. And yes, it moves slow, but each individual's person turn doesn't take that long. But it is one action at a time. So if you're playing with 20 guys on each side, that's 40 chits you're pulling before the turn advances. So it is kind of anal retentive, but it's kind of like a slow movie. It's like a slow motion battle scene. Okay, that one's, I don't know if this still needed much, if any. It doesn't. And I don't think the Panzer IV needed any. No. And Jagdpanzer need any? No, it was just this guy because I was falling asleep the other night when I was putting it together, and it's a good thing I wasn't driving. This guy need anything? No. Okay. Cool. All right, so that's where we're going to stop for tonight. And we'll be back on Sunday morning. Because not tomorrow morning. Normally I would be on tomorrow morning, but we're out of town. So, got to take the daughter for her orientation for college, so that's what's on the books for tomorrow. But as always, thanks for stopping by, folks. And we'll have more tanks and stuff coming. And hopefully you get excited about painting stuff, even if it's not necessarily the scale or time period that I'm doing. Okay, folks, until next time.